Okay, by the time we finish this module, you'll be able to list the sources used for aircraft weight and balance data, and then you'll be able to explain the type certificate data sheet and how to get the information off of the type certificate data sheet that you'll need to accurately calculate the aircraft's weight and balance. Weight and balance data, our next module, or next section. Weight and balance data. Why is the data important? What are the sources of weight balance data? Well, we could pull it off the aircraft specification. We could pull it from the operations manual. We could pull it out of the weight and balance report that's part of the aircraft maintenance record. Or we could go to the FAA website and pull down the aircraft type certificate data sheet and pull the data that we need or the information we need for our weight and balance procedures. So I get to my aircraft type certificate data sheet, the first thing that I need to look at is what airplane am I dealing with? Well, it looks like I have a PA-34 that I'm actually going to be dealing with today. I've pulled it off the type certificate data sheet, and this is kind of what the type certificate data sheet will look like when you pull it off of FAA.gov. Here's the airplane, and again, it's a PA-34. As we go down further, it's going to give us a center of gravity range for the aircraft with the gear extended. And sometimes it makes a difference whether the gear is extended or the gear is retracted. With the gear retracting, the center of gravity can move one direction or another. It's going to give us the empty weight. It's going to give us the maximum weight. What is the maximum weight that that aircraft can safely fly? As we do modifications, again, remember, we're going to be adding weight, we're going to be subtracting weight, and we want to make sure that we don't go over the maximum weight. Any weight that's under the maximum weight that that aircraft comes in at is going to be what we call the useful load. That's what the pilot can use for his luggage and for his golf clubs and for anything else he wants to put in an airplane. That's the useful load. That's what the pilot is worried about. The datum. The type certificate data sheet is going to tell us the datum, where it is at. Then it's going to tell us the means of levelings. Where and how do we level the aircraft? For this particular aircraft, it's going to be the left side of the fuselage. Below the windows is where we're going to actually find a couple of screws, and we're going to put a spirit level on those two screws. We're going to get that aircraft level. We want it to be at the same attitude as it would be in flight. That's how we're going to level the aircraft. Then the type certificate data sheet is going to tell us how much fuel should be in the aircraft, and it's going to tell us the oil capacity of the aircraft. Okay, so we can look at our center of gravity range on the type certificate data sheet, and then we can go in and refer to see if the type certificate actually gives us an empty weight CG range. It'll give us the maximum weight. What is the maximum weight that aircraft can fly at? Realize that that maximum weight is with the pilot, in his luggage, in the fuel, and anything else he wants to put in that airplane. So the difference between the empty weight and the maximum weight is what we call a useful load, and that's what's important to the pilot. Back to the previous module, earlier in this module, where we discussed the empty weight center of gravity. Remember, this is where the pilot gets his information so that he knows what the empty weight of the aircraft is. He knows what the empty weight CG is. Now he can use all this other information to calculate it so that he can safely fly the airplane, keep it under its maximum weight, and keep the center of balance within limits. Going to give us a maximum weight on the type certificate data sheet. It's going to tell us the number of seats and the locations that they're going to be at. So you can calculate the moment of each seat. Say you decide you want to pull a seat but not do a complete weight and balance. If you pull one seat, you can do a mathematical calculation of the weight and balance on the aircraft. Going to tell me what type certificate tells me what my maximum baggage is and the location that I can put that baggage out. Tells me the datum, tells me the means of leveling. 2 screws on the side of the fuselage below the window, and we put a spirit level on those 2 screws. And then we can take and level that airplane so that the aircraft, when we do the weight and balance, is at the same attitude as it would be in flight. Gives me my fuel capacity, tells me what the datum is of my fuel capacity or the location of my fuel, and it tells me the weight and location of my oil. Other information that I don't need for weight and balance, but I'm going to find on the type certificate data sheet, is the engine limits, the operating limits of the engine. don't necessarily worry too much about that during weight and balance, but later on in other modules, that's going to be important. Then I can take and see some of the notes, and I need to follow each one of the notes because some of these notes could be critical to my model aircraft. As I go through the notes, I need to look at, is that my aircraft or is that somebody else's aircraft? Which model do those notes pertain to? It might give me something specific on a piece of equipment I have to have installed. It might give me something specific on the weight and balance. Might talk to me about what's going to happen with the center of gravity when the gear is extended versus the gear retracted. So follow the notes, look at every single note. There may be something pertinent to your aircraft that you need to know. And the notes go on. You can see we've got 9, 10, 11. On note number 11, it gives us some specific about a Piper kit that's actually loaded on the aircraft. If your aircraft does not have that kit, then number 11 is not important to you. Okay, in review of this module, we should remember to accurately identify or accurately calculate an aircraft's weight and balance. You're going to need to draw from some information that is available to us, some specific documents. We're going to include things like the type certificate data sheet, the flight manual, aircraft specifications, aircraft weight and balance report that you'd find in the logbook. Those are just some of the sources that you're going to have available to accurately calculate that aircraft's center of gravity. Okay, the type certificate data sheet is going to include some very important information. It'll give us the empty center of gravity range. Should be a chart in there to show us where this center of gravity should fall. It's going to give us the means of leveling. It's going to tell us whether or not we have to have the oil tank empty or the oil tank full. It should provide us the maximum weight that the aircraft can fly at. This is all going to be critical information we'll utilize when we actually calculate the aircraft weight and balance.